Hello and welcome to the second part of my series on how to write a Node.js microservice. On this lesson, I'm going to show you how to actually create your API endpoints, and we are going to test them using Postman. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to create a file called hooks controllers.js here on my controller folder, and I'm going to require the Prisma client. So it's going to be Prisma client, and require Prisma client, and this is a class. So I want to instantiate this class. So I'm going to do Prisma. And so we have a new instance of that class. Now I can begin writing my controllers. So controllers. Okay. So the first one I want to write is going to be my post controller. It's just going to be res, and here I'm going to have a try catch. All of these have to be asynchronous functions. Okay, so now I want to actually grab the data from the request. So I'm going to do data rec body, and then I want to actually attempt to write the record into the database. So I'm going to do inserted data and wait. It's going to be Prisma, the name of our model, and create. And create is going to receive an object as an argument, and this object is going to have a field called data. And in data, we pass our data from the body of the request. Finally, we return a response with status code 200 and JSON message, which is just going to be our inserted data actually. All right. Then if an error occurs, we are going to do console error and print the error. So then I want to return a request with the status 500 JSON and error message, something like this. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to create my update, and the update is going to be very similar, but here we have to change this for update, and we are going to have to pass one more field, which is going to be our where. So we have to specify which record we want to update. So we have to grab the ID of the record from our request parameters. And here we have to do ID is going to be equal to ID. This is going to be our filter. And because everything that goes into the parameters of the request, this is always going to be a string. So this is a string, but if you remember, in our schema, we defined the ID as an integer. So we have to change this. We have to do parse int in order to do a conversion. And that's it. Okay, so we are going to do also or update or delete, which is going to be called del. You actually can't call it delete. And here we're going to just change some things. So deleted data. This is going to be a delete, of course. and we are not passing any data, so this is unnecessary, and that's correct. And now I want to do get one record, so it's going to be a get, and we are using find unique, and finally this is going to be called data, just like that. And okay, so finally we want get all controller. So this get all controller is going to be find many without any argument whatsoever, so only find many, and there's no need for grabbing an ID. And yeah, okay, that's correct. So finally we're going to use module exports in order to export all of our functions. So I'm going to do get all, delete, update, and create or post actually. Okay, so that's all regarding controllers. Very easy. This actually can get very complicated, but since this is a very simple minimal CRUD example, I didn't want to complicate things, so it's fine. Okay, so now I want to actually create my routes. So I'm going to go inside of the routes folder, and I'm going to create a books routes.js file, and I'm going to do I'm going to create a router. So I'm going to require express and this router function, and I'm going to grab my controllers. So I'm going to import books controller. So controllers, books controllers, and here I can begin to actually create the routes. So I'm going to do router, the name of the verb that I'm using. So in this case, it's going to be a get request. The URL, I'm just going to do slash and a parameter ID. And whenever this URL gets called with a get request, I want to execute this get function. So what I'm saying here is if I do a get request to this URL, this controller function is going to be executed. So it is very easy. So now I'm going to copy and paste, and here we are going to have post, another post, delete, and okay. Here, this is going to be our get all endpoint. This is going to be our create endpoint. So post, and this is going to be our update endpoint. So it's going to be get, sorry, it's going to be update, and it's going to get a parameter, and this is going to be our delete endpoint, and here I'm calling the del function. And finally, what I want to do is I want to export my router. And that's it. It's very simple. So finally, in order for this to work, I need to make the server aware of these routes. So I'm going to go into my index file, and I'm going to import the router. So books router require and first I have to I'm going to do use. Use is a function that you use in order to apply a middleware into your Express application. So what I'm going to say here is that every URL that begins with API books, it's going to be is going to be handled by this router. And in order for the router, in order for Express to actually parse the body of my requests, I need to apply another middleware, and that middleware is this JSON function from the body parser module. So I'm going to select this function. You can see that the function gets imported from my body parser package. And something very, very important here is that this has to go first. If you do this, that's not going to work. This one has to be applied first. Okay, so now we are ready to finally test our routes. So we are on Postman now. So I'm going to go into the create route, and I'm going to create some records. So the apology by Plato, and you see that it gets created. I'm going to create, the anima by Aristotle. Say that the edition is from 1992. And I'm going to create, I don't know, C programming language. KNR for short. Kerrigan and Ritchie. So let's say 1974 and computer science. And now if I go into my get all route, you will see that all of those books are now inside of the database. And if I want to get a specific book, for example, the C programming language, you see that it works. And if I want to update one of the books, for example, I don't know, yes, this is the second record. And actually, I want to say that this is, I don't know, critique, pure reason by Kant. You can see that it gets updated. If I want to change the date, the year, sorry, you see that it changes. And finally, if I wanted to delete one of the records, for example, the first record, you will see that now it got deleted. So now we have only 2 records. So if I want to delete a record that isn't there, I'm going to receive an error. As you can see, the error is quite clear. It says that the operation failed because the record wasn't found. The record to delete does not exist. Okay, all of this is fine, but maybe this design can be a bit messy when you start to have lots of different endpoints. You're going to get something like this. So it can get a bit messy, and it's better to just encapsulate this functionality inside of functions. And so what I want to do is to make a bit of a housekeeping here, a little refactorization, and I'm going to create a new folder called utils. And inside there's going to be an index.js, and here I'm going to create a function that is going to be called apply express middleware. And this function, it's going to receive an application, express application as argument, and it's going to do exactly this. So I'm going to grab the body parser and I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to grab my route. So I think that's enough. So we can delete this, and we also can delete this. I want to grab this function as well, and I want to put this inside of start server function. So it's going to be application listen. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to do module exports, and I'm going to export both of these functions like this, and I'm going to import my utils. So require utils index. Okay, so inside of utils, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first apply the middleware. So I'm going to pass my application as argument, and I want to do start server. So okay, there's an error. Let's see. Okay, cannot find module. Let's see what. Oh, okay, yes, the relative path changed a bit. Okay, so port, right? There's no port. You can actually just move this and okay, that's okay. And you can see that now this is way more cleaner, and this will be helpful when we want to run some tests as well, to have these separate functions. Okay, and finally we're going to comment a bit. So create express app. Maybe yes, here's fine. Initialize, apply middleware, initialize. So it's self-explanatory really, but yeah, we can comment this a bit. And that's all right. You can see that everything still works. If we go to Postman, yes, you can see that everything still works. And that's it basically. So finally, I want to correct a bit of a mistake that I did on the previous video. So I said that this interrogation symbol means required field, but this is actually the opposite. I got confused. This means optional field. So in order to make this field required, you actually have to remove these interrogation signs. And in order to make these two fields, year and subject, optional, there you have to put the interrogation sign. So you save this and you run npx prisma dev, migrate dev, and there you go. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and on the next class we are going to learn how to test or Node Microservice using Jest. So stay tuned. It's going to be a fun and interesting class.